Hi, so I'm Mahon Yoder. I'm applying to Bard College and University of Asheville. So these will be the people, hopefully, who will be looking at this application. I'm applying to art because I really want to work in a field that allows me to express my ideas in a visual way, such that I don't have to write out my ideas, because I find words much more difficult than images. Yet I enjoy the challenge to try to express my thoughts, which are largely visual, and try to make that universally understood by other people, or at least have it such that they then can think about other things themselves, so then challenging thoughts in others. And I really like to try to communicate in that fashion. This is one of the reasons why I want to look at film more closely and photography more closely, because I think those are two mediums which are gaining ground and have been gaining ground within the last 200, 100 years. And I think they're very interesting, and they allow for a wide range of different types of creativity, such that I could explore which fields of art I think better suited how I wish to communicate to others, and also which ones will challenge me the most, and what I could do with those. Could I travel with them? Could I show different people's perspectives with them? Could I do it with different media? What kind of media? I think that's all really, really very interesting. And also, what kind of people could I work with? Because I think a lot of creativity happens with collaboration, and that collaboration is really important, just from a very basic level of becoming inspired and getting ideas from other people. Before I continue on with this video, I'm sorry for the lighting quality. I don't really have a camera. My camera is an old cassette tape camera, which isn't really good for posting on the internet. I intend this video to be an introduction to my art blog and to my portfolio in general. So I really just mostly want to talk about what kind of artwork I like to do, and maybe just introduce a few pieces that I feel need extra introduction beyond the description that I have already given them. You'll find that each picture is there, and then there'll be a description with the dimensions and also the medium I used, just so people can see it more generally for each one, because I figured it would take more than 10 minutes really to describe every picture. I wanted to include more pictures, and I might add an additional slide at the very end that has more of my pictures from my trip in India, which is where the glass reflection picture comes from. I really chose that picture because a lot of thought went into why I wanted to take that picture, so it lent itself to description much more than some of the other ones, which happened by circumstance, and then I really liked them later on. And I thought they had a powerful message within themselves that I happened to capture in that moment, but this one was more thought out than the other ones. This extra page would have some of those other ones that I really liked but didn't feel would lend themselves as well to a description on a blog post. In addition to that, I'd also like to expand more on my fears one, and I really intended that one to be an explanation of how fears are enlarged in people's brains and how they are often very different from the original event that caused that irrational fear, such as the dog collar in the photo I've taken represents my fear of dogs. But that actual fear originates from just a single moment when a dog mounted me when I was really, really little. But that fear got expanded to all kinds of dogs, to every breed of dog, and felt that I could represent it in just a dog collar. And so that kind of just explains how that one fear just became so expansive and so universal. It was a major fear for such a long portion of my life that it needed to be represented in the piece. In addition to that, I wanted to clarify that the reason why I have mostly pictures and why I can't really show any of my art pieces in this video that I'm sending you is because most of my pieces are either with people who I've given them to, or in India because they were too large to take back on the plane back over to the US. So most of them I only had video or photograph form, which is why I'm creating this video as an introduction to my blog instead of as a way to show you my artwork. So I just want to clear that up. Most of these dimensions I've had to roughly figure out in my brain because I no longer have them. Luckily, I did take measurements before I left them, but I don't quite remember what those were, and somehow those got lost on the trip back over to the US. Okay, so on to the next subject. I want to be an art major because I feel like art is the best way that I can explain how my brain works and communicate to others what I feel and how I think. And I've always had issues explaining how I think verbally, and I've always found it easier to explain either with concrete examples or with mental images. I then try to explain to others how I'm feeling or what I'm thinking. And so I really want to do art because I want to translate those issues I've always had into a language that I can carry over to people, hopefully universally, and try to find a language that can communicate to people universally my beliefs and my thoughts and their beliefs and thoughts to other people around the world. I'd like to try to explore some areas of documentary so I can show people what others feel and not just have people project what they feel onto others. Because I think one of the major things of art and one of its key strengths is its ability to invoke thoughts in other people rather than just communicate an idea. So sometimes what the actual artist is trying to communicate doesn't come through, but what the person experiences in the artwork themselves from their own experiences and their own background is so much greater than what the original artist intended and becomes a building block for really something even more amazing and something more powerful that goes beyond the art piece into a community and creates an idea. And I find that process fascinating, and I really want to work to create that process in my own artwork and to help that and see how I can make that a part of global communication and open global communication instead of global assumptions, which is what I think often occurs when one culture meets another culture. And that's part of why I want to travel while I do artwork, is so I can really try to understand the culture that I travel to. So not just travel, but live within that culture for multiple years while doing a few art exhibitions or installments, so that because I believe that the only way that you can really understand a culture is to live in a culture, because otherwise you're still just a tourist. Even if you visit there for 6 months, you're still a tourist. You're not living in the place. You're not becoming one of the people who daily have to make a living there. And so that's why I really want to do 3-4 year, maybe 2 year living trips to places where then I do art within that location or film within that location. And I really want to explore with different medium and see what those can do and see what mixtures of those mediums can do. I find that very interesting, and I find art just such an open field that can have so much ability to grow because the way people view art can change so much over history, such as computer animation, where that wasn't thought of as art just 50 years ago. That's now a major field in producing creative work. And I find that process fascinating of how art grows and how it expands to different medium. And I really want to be a part of that, and I want to be a part of communities that do that and that work together to inspire each other and to collaboratively bring something to the world. I don't want to impose on the world. I just want to contribute to it in any way I can, and however people wish to see it, I just hope that it makes an impact in their lives. So that's where I am as an artist now. I'm sure that'll change. Just if you'd asked me 3 years ago whether I wanted to be an artist, I would have told you no. Life changes so quickly that you just have to kind of go with the flow and see where it takes you. So this is where I stand as an artist now, and I hope to grow in the future. And I hope that my portfolio doesn't express what my portfolio will express in years to come. So I hope you enjoy. Thanks.